The drone patrols along a narrow tree line bordering open terrain. Dry grass and leafless trees below provide only limited concealment, leaving large gaps visible from above. Movement is detected inside the planting. A lone figure moves cautiously between trees, stopping briefly and changing direction as the drone passes overhead. The behavior suggests an attempt to avoid detection. As the drone adjusts altitude and steadies its approach, the figure reacts and presses closer to the trees. At one point, the person positions themselves behind a trunk, using it as cover. From the aerial perspective, the attempt proves ineffective, with the position still visible through gaps in the branches. The drone maintains steady tracking, correcting angle while closing the distance. The tree line offers no continuous cover, and movement on the ground remains clearly outlined. The figure shifts position once more, but the terrain provides no protection. The drone flies above a damaged road covered with snow and debris. Near the roadside, a single figure is lying low, attempting to remain unnoticed against the ground. As the drone closes in, the figure reacts at the last moment, making a sudden attempt to disrupt the approach. The action fails to change the situation. The drone maintains its course. The drone observes an open field crossed by a narrow footpath. A lone figure moves along the trail at a steady pace, fully exposed from above. There is no nearby cover, only low vegetation on both sides of the path. As the drone closes in, the figure continues forward without changing direction. The approach remains direct. Moments later, visible movement on the path stops, and the field falls quiet again. The drone observes a destroyed village with empty streets and damaged buildings. A lone figure moves along the road, passing through the ruins without cover. From above, the position is clear. The drone lines its approach and closes the distance. Moments later, visible movement in the street stops, and the village falls quiet again. The drone observes the interior of a partially destroyed house. Broken walls and debris create a confined space with little room to move. Inside the ruins, a lone figure is seen attempting to stay concealed among the remains. As the drone closes in, the figure reacts at the last moment, lifting an object in a brief attempt to block the approach. The effort is uncoordinated and ineffective. The drone maintains its line and completes the approach. Moments later, visible movement inside the structure stops, and the damaged house falls silent. The drone scans an open field with low vegetation and no cover. Three figures are visible moving together across the terrain, fully exposed from above. As the drone adjusts its line, the group begins to separate slightly, but the area offers no protection. The approach remains direct and controlled. Moments later, visible movement from one of the figures stops, and the remaining area grows quiet. The drone detects 4 enemy soldiers spread across a wide open field. They are separated from each other, moving independently with no cover nearby. The terrain is flat and fully exposed, making every position clearly visible from above. As the sequence unfolds, the first kamikaze drone enters the area. It aligns steadily and closes the distance. There is no coordinated response from the ground. After the approach, movement at one position stops and the footage cuts to another section of the field. A second drone follows. The remaining figures continue moving, attempting to change direction and increase spacing between each other. From the air, these adjustments offer no protection. The drone maintains a direct line and completes its approach. Another position falls silent. The montage continues with additional drones entering one by one. Each engagement follows the same pattern: detection, alignment, and a controlled approach from above. The figures react briefly, then movement in that area ends. The open field provides no concealment at any stage. Between strikes, the camera returns to wide views of the field, showing the remaining figures still exposed. One after another, each position is addressed. No evacuation or support appears nearby, and no cover is available. By the end of the sequence, the field becomes completely still. All previously detected positions show no movement. The drone patrols along a narrow tree line bordering open terrain. Sparse trees and low vegetation provide only limited concealment from above. Inside the planting, a lone figure is detected moving between trunks, trying to stay close to cover. As the drone adjusts its altitude and angle, the figure reacts and positions themselves behind a tree, using the trunk as protection. From the aerial view, the attempt proves ineffective. The position remains clearly visible through gaps in the branches. The drone maintains a steady approach, closing the distance without deviation. Moments later, visible movement inside the tree line stops. The planting falls quiet, and no further activity is detected as the scene concludes. This extended montage presents multiple drone engagements against various types of heavy enemy equipment across different locations. Armored vehicles, large transport units, and fortified machinery are positioned on roads, open ground, and near damaged infrastructure. From above, their size and outlines are clearly distinguishable against the terrain. In several segments, the equipment is stationary, likely positioned for cover or support. In others, vehicles move slowly along predictable routes. The drones approach one by one, maintaining stable flight paths and adjusting angle and altitude to align precisely with each target. No effective countermeasures are visible from the ground. As the sequence continues, each engagement follows a consistent pattern. A drone enters the frame, closes the distance, and completes its approach. After each strike, visible movement around the equipment stops. The footage then cuts to another location where a different piece of heavy equipment comes into view. Between engagements, wide aerial shots emphasize the scale of the terrain and the exposure of the targets. Damaged roads, open fields, and ruined structures frame the scenes, reinforcing the lack of concealment for large vehicles. No evacuation or recovery activity appears nearby. As more clips are shown, the repetition becomes clear. One position after another is addressed, with each drone completing its task before the scene transitions. The heavy equipment remains exposed throughout, unable to relocate or disperse in time. By the end of the montage, multiple locations appear silent. Areas that previously showed active vehicles now remain still. The final shots hold steady over inactive terrain, concluding the sequence with no further movement detected. This extended montage shows multiple drone engagements against various types of enemy equipment across different locations. Light vehicles, transport units, and heavier machinery appear on roads, open ground, and near damaged buildings. From above, their movement patterns and positions are clearly visible. Some vehicles attempt to move along exposed routes, following roads or tracks through open terrain. Others remain stationary, positioned near structures or at the edges of fields. In each case, the lack of effective cover leaves the equipment visible from the air. As the sequence progresses, kamikaze drones enter the frame one after another. Each approach is steady and controlled. The drones adjust altitude and angle, aligning precisely before closing the distance. There are no visible countermeasures, and no coordinated response is observed on the ground. The footage cuts between different engagements. One vehicle is replaced by another in a different area under similar conditions. After each approach, visible movement around the equipment stops. The camera shifts to the next target, maintaining the same detached aerial perspective. Between strikes, wider shots emphasize the surrounding terrain. Roads are scarred, fields are empty, and damaged infrastructure frames the scenes. The size and shape of the equipment stand out against the landscape, reinforcing how exposed these positions are from above. As more clips are shown, a clear pattern emerges. Detection, alignment, approach, and the end of visible activity repeat across locations. No evacuation or recovery efforts appear nearby. Each engagement concludes quickly before the montage moves on. Toward the end of the sequence, the pace remains consistent. Different types of equipment are shown under similar conditions, all vulnerable to aerial observation. One by one, the locations fall quiet. The final shots hold on inactive terrain where equipment had been moments earlier. No movement remains visible. The montage concludes with steady aerial views, underscoring the repeated outcome across all engagements. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like.